Hello, everyone. My name is Liza Oliver. I am the Wellesley resident who is bringing forward Article 28 to prohibit the sale of fur in Wellesley. In the brief presentation that I'm going to give you this evening, I want to address the rationale of the bylaw as it pertains to several factors: human health, environmental degradation, animal cruelty, and societal trends. But first, I think it's important to clarify the scope of the bylaw and what exactly it does and does not do. So the bylaw would not seek to limit the sale of leather of any kind or any cowhide or sheepskin with hair fibers still attached. And it also does not set a precedent for any bans of this kind. And that's because the bylaw has been very narrowly defined to exclude all animals legally classified as livestock and therefore protected by the Humane Slaughter Act. It would prohibit only the sale of products that require animals to be raised in fur farms or trapped and killed specifically and only for their pelts. The most common kind of animals this includes are foxes, coyotes, raccoon dogs, minks, chinchilla, and rabbits. The bylaw also has several exemptions: used fur sold secondhand, fur used for Native American tribal purposes, fur used for religious purposes, and taxidermy. Now, there have been recent developments in fur farming over the past few months pertaining to COVID-19. COVID-19 has swept through mink fur farms as a result of human to mink transmission, and this has happened on fur farms in Utah, Wisconsin, Michigan, Denmark, Spain, and the Netherlands. The Dutch government's scientific report stated that all evidence indicates the minks most likely transmitted COVID-19 back to several humans on those fur farms as well. So this has resulted in the deaths from COVID of tens of thousands of minks here in the United States, and has resulted in the gassing of millions of minks in Europe, 2.5 million in Denmark alone, just since last week when the photo at right was taken, when the Danish Emergency Medical Agency culled all of the minks from the 63 COVID positive mink farms in the country. Now, scientists have long warned about the threat of deadly zoonotic diseases passing from animals to humans on fur farms, since the species who are farmed specifically for their fur, namely raccoon dogs, foxes, and minks, are proven carriers of numerous coronaviruses. And now that warning has finally become a reality, and it will likely be a reality again with future coronaviruses. These events have led Germany's leading coronavirus expert, Christian Dresen, who discovered the novel SARS virus in 2003, to state the following: "If somebody gave me a few $100,000 and free access to China to find the source of the virus, I would look in places where raccoon dogs are bred." Now, the Wellesley Square Merchants Association has acknowledged before the advisory committee that fur companies are a very small amount of that fur is a very small amount of its winter inventory in only a few stores, and that it would not harm their businesses. Furthermore, there is a long line of animal products already banned at a federal, state, and local level that have been deemed wantonly cruel, which is something that we often take for granted. Nonetheless, some may feel that this ban is overreach, and to that point, I am reminded of words often attributed to Oliver Wendell Holmes or John Stuart Mill. Probably neither one of them said it, but nonetheless, the principle remains the same. "Your liberty to swing your fist ends where my nose begins." This pandemic has been a fist at the tip of all of our noses, and the threat of future ones will remain so until we change how we approach the natural world and what we think we're entitled to from it. Selling or buying products that derive from and sustain these breeding grounds of disease that harm all of us should not be a matter of personal choice. But the fact of the matter is that fur bans have already gone into effect for reasons that have nothing to do with these recent developments, and those include environmental degradation and animal welfare, factors that I'm going to discuss with you now. Firstly, fur is not eco-friendly. Compared with synthetic and other natural textiles, fur has a higher impact per pound in 17 of 18 environmental categories, including climate change, waste runoff, and toxicity. The climate change impact of mink fur is at least 5 times higher than the highest scoring textile and 6 times higher than faux fur alternatives. And separate and apart from the environmental toxins and pollutions as a result of fur tanning, fur farms worldwide are known to consistently violate environmental regulations. To address this point in more detail, and all of the information I've provided comes from the study at the bottom right of your screen, 2.2 pounds or 1 kilogram of mink fur requires 11.5 minks and more than 1,100 pounds of feed to produce. As the graph on the left shows, fur farming is sustained by a system in which a huge amount of food is grown to feed a huge amount of animals. Those animals are then killed to feed a huge amount of other animals, the fur animals, who are then killed in order to extract a small amount of product from them relative to the amount of land, water, and food resources required to bring that product into existence. And this is the reason why fur's climate change impact is extraordinarily higher than all other textiles, either man-made or from animals, as illustrated on the graph to your right. Now, last but certainly not least, there is the issue, the ever-present issue of animal cruelty, extreme animal cruelty within the industry that must be addressed. 100 million animals are killed every year just for their fur. And this number actually excludes rabbits. It's estimated that several 100 million rabbits are killed annually just for their fur. Animals live the duration of their lives in cramped cages, unable to ever participate in behaviors natural to their species. And as a result of that, it's completely normal that they develop neurotic, self-harming behaviors from the confinement. They're denied basic veterinary care, and they are killed by the cheapest and, as a result, the slowest and most painful means possible, including electrocution, gassing, clubbing, and suffocation. And this applies to fur farms in the United States, Europe, and in China. Now, I apologize that the next two slides are upsetting and graphic. I do not show them to you for shock value. I show them because they are the everyday facts of this industry, and I think it's really important to show why this bylaw is important and why fur does not align with the values of Wellesley. These images, sorry, let me get my screen. These photos are from an undercover investigation into a Finnish fur farm in 2017. And they show the kinds of self-mutilating and cannibalistic behaviors that develop as a result of extreme confinement and the emotional distress that that confinement causes. Again, these animals receive no veterinary care, and these findings are the norm of all undercover investigations. They are not the exception. And in China, where 80% of the fur we use comes from, investigation after investigation has revealed the skinning of live animals who are conscious but incapacitated, usually as a result of having first been bludgeoned in the head. And the video stills I show you are from a very recent, just this year, 2020, Humane Society of the United States investigation into a fur farm in which one of these live skinning occurs by a fox first being bludgeoned to his head to the point of being incapacitated, to find his body then thrown, skinned, among other corpses while he's still moving. Fortunately, many places have already caught on to the cruelties of this industry, and fur farming bans and fur sales bans are already in effect. For example, many countries in the EU have already banned fur or are in the process of phasing it out. Fur sales bans have already occurred here in the United States, first beginning with several cities in Los Angeles and then California. And legislation is ongoing in the United Kingdom, New York City, and other states. Retailers have also banned fur sales, and these retailers include major department stores like Nordstrom, to popular stores like H&M, to high-end designers like Gucci and Prada. Hundreds of retailers have banned fur. So I would ask that you please consider supporting Article 28 so that Wellesley too can do its part to help end the cruelty, the environmental harm, and the threat to human health that sustains this fur industry. I've provided my contact information here should you have any questions, and I've also provided my webpage and my Facebook page should you like more information, including undercover investigations and the most recent news regarding COVID outbreaks on fur farms. Thank you for your time and your consideration.